Hola amigos de SOYYORUBATV, los saluda Ricardo Ochoa y el día de hoy tenemos una entrevista muy emotiva con una personalidad de la cultura yoruba. Es para mí un placer presentarles al profesor Dr. Wande Abimbola. Profesor, buenas noches, ¿cómo está usted?
Thank you very much.
Me gustaría preguntarle acerca de... Usted nació en 1932 en una ciudad llamada Obaonisa. ¿Qué recuerdos tiene usted de su infancia?
My childhood was very interesting. For the first 12 years of my life, from the time I was 4 until I was 12, I studied Ifa. I didn't go to school. Then at the age of 12, I decided on my own to go to school.
Daddy, I thought you said you were...
I had to convince my parents that it was a good thing to go to school, the kind of school that was available at that time in colonial times in Africa. And I had to walk from my village to the nearest school, 7 miles to school, and back to the village every day. I did that for 11 years. 8 years of primary school and 3 years out of the 6 years of secondary.
45, usted tenía 12 años.
Yes, yes.
Estaba finalizando la Segunda Guerra Mundial. ¿Qué recuerdos tiene usted acerca de la Segunda Guerra Mundial? Usted como un joven, ¿cómo la vivió?
My uncle, with whom I lived for a brief period after I came back from the war, participated in that war, fought with the British in the Second World War. He fought in North Africa. And my father was also a veteran of the First World War. So in my family, soldiering is a very important part of our lives.
¿Y usted cree que podría haber una tercera guerra mundial?
I certainly hope there wouldn't be. If there is a World War III, it may well be the end of the world. So that's why I prayed. That was the last part of my prayers this evening. Tefe tefe ó dókèèrè. Ànírógun lẹ̀ yìí ó dókèèrè. May we never see war anymore. Far away, far away.
¿Y usted cuál cree que sea el lobo del hombre? ¿Usted cuál cree que sea el principal defecto que tiene la sociedad moderna?
The principal defect of the modern world.
Así es.
Yeah, the principal defect of the modern world is what we have been talking about. Neglect of nature. And it all comes from Christianity. In the Bible says we should prosper, we should multiply, and there is the mistaken impression that the rest of humanity is created for the enjoyment of human persons. It's a mistake.
Yes.
The world is not created for anybody's enjoyment. We are part and parcel of nature.
Así es.
If nature were to vanish, we ourselves should get prepared for our own extinction.
¿Y usted cree que hoy día la naturaleza está cobrando la cuenta a la humanidad de todos los agravios que le hemos hecho?
Yes. I think, I don't know when it is coming, whether this week, maybe it has already happened, or it will be next week. President Obama is going to visit Alaska to demonstrate the fact that all the ice, mountains of ice in Alaska, and in that part, the northernmost part of the world, which was a land of ice, all those mountains of ice are melting, and they have almost completely melted, turned into water. Very soon, maybe sooner than we thought. So many cities in low-lying areas may be submerged in water. We need to curb the appetite of today's human persons for manufactured goods.
Yes.
Everything that we do, manufacture, or anything that the modern world brings about, should have a human face.
Profesor, ¿es usted un hombre de fe?
Very much so.
¿Y cree en los milagros?
Yes.
¿Me puede platicar algún milagro que alguna vez haya atestiguado, que haya visto o que haya sentido?
I myself am a living miracle.
Why?
Can you believe that a boy of 12 will walk through the forest, starting early in the morning, like 3 a.m., walk through the forest with wild animals there, snakes, for 11 years.
11.
Never bitten by a snake. I was never troubled by a wild animal. Nothing ever happened to me. If you believe in something and you practice it and you fervently believe in it, your prayers will be answered.
Y en ese momento, cuando usted caminaba por ese bosque, ¿sentía que lo acompañaba algún orisha?
Oh, yes. Okay. On my early morning walk through the forest, I will pass through a river. And I have to wade through that river. One day I was going through the river, and then on the other side of the banks of the river, there was somebody had put some light there, like light from a lantern or something like that. And then as I was walking through the river, somebody called me inside the river. I said, Wande, 3 times. Then I said, who are you? Are you the one who named me Wande? Get out of my sight. Let me go. And then that person said, And then the light quenched.
Who was this creature? ¿Está bien? ¿Quién era esa criatura?
The spirit of the river. All rivers are living things.
¿Sintió miedo usted?
They are living like human beings.
Were you scared?
No, I'm not always that much scared about anything.
Y hoy día, hoy profesor, hoy, ¿hay algo que a usted le dé miedo? Usted que ha recorrido el mundo, usted que ha visto tantas miserias humanas, ¿hay algo que le dé miedo?
Well, I'm not always frightened, but I am always afraid of what is going to happen to so many peoples of the world who have missed their way, who don't know how to enjoy their lives, who don't have the means to make 2 ends meet, the poor peoples of the world, especially in Africa. I'm always afraid about what is going to be the future.
Profesor, usted estudió historia, ¿cierto?
Yes, very much so.
¿Por qué no estudiar ingeniería? ¿Por qué no estudiar medicina? ¿Por qué no estudiar alguna carrera de las que necesitaba en ese momento Nigeria fervientemente? Considerando la pobreza de Nigeria.
It's a very good question. When I went to school, I could be whatever I wanted to be. I could be a doctor, I could be an engineer. Everything was within my reach and my possibility. But I elected on my own to study history so that I would know the history of the world and I would be able to understand how the world came to be what it is today, how African peoples have been enslaved, have been misinformed, miseducated, and that slavery and colonialism of African peoples has continued unabated even up till today. I thought that is more important. That's how Ifa guided me to really focus on indigenous African religions.
Entonces usted estudió historia para decirle al mundo, África está viva, África es gente bien la que estamos en África.
Yes, I studied history to let the peoples of the world know that African peoples are very important to the success and the continuation of human civilization. There is no way in which we can tell the stories of other peoples of the world without actually focusing on Africa, where everything began. Civilizations began from Africa. African peoples have something to offer, something to contribute to human civilization. One of those things is Ifa.
Professor,
Ifa is the special gift of the peoples of West Africa to the world.
Profesor, Nelson Mandela trabajó para ayudar a que África obtuviera el lugar que se merece. ¿Qué piensa usted de eso?
Yeah, he's one of the heroes of Africa. Somebody who fought against apartheid, against colonialism. He will forever be remembered for his contribution and for his heroic deeds.
Nelson Mandela muchas veces fue perseguido por su forma de pensar. Mi pregunta es, ¿usted ha sido perseguido por su forma de pensar?
I don't know, because I've always also been blessed. In spite of difficulties that I experienced in my childhood and as I was growing up, I've been blessed. I was blessed to be the president of the university in which I functioned for the longest time, the University of Ife, now known as Obafemi Awolowo University. I was blessed to be the majority leader of the Senate of Nigeria. I was blessed to be an advisor to one of the presidents of Nigeria. And I was blessed to be the Awishe, the voice of Ifa in the world, and to take Ifa to all nooks and corners of the world.
Professor,
I try to not focus on the difficulties, but on the achievements that Ifa has allowed me to accomplish.
¿Es Yoruba una religión?
Yoruba is a people, Yoruba is a religion, Yoruba is a language. The Yoruba people of Africa live in 8 countries of Africa. And in Africa alone, they number about 60 million. The Yoruba are by far the largest African people. And they have a wonderful diaspora all over the world. In Brazil, in Cuba, in Mexico, all over the world. Trinidad and Tobago. And the ideas are so wonderful, concretized in Ifa.
Profesor, ¿qué es lo que busca? ¿Qué es lo que busca una persona cuando acude a la religión Yoruba?
It's a very good question. Some people are looking for magic. They know the power of this religion and they want the religion to quickly fix some problem that they have in their lives. Most people who claim to be devotees of this religion are looking for something that will heal some aspect of their lives. But the religion is much more than magic. I always say, what we do is not magic, but many times it works like magic. This religion is spreading like wildfire throughout the world without anybody sponsoring it. There is no money behind it, pushing it. There is no government pushing it. I think its time has come.
It's time. Profesor, ¿cómo sería hoy la religión Yoruba? ¿Cómo sería hoy Nigeria si no hubiera existido la conquista y la esclavitud? ¿Qué sería de la religión Yoruba hoy día?
Yeah. Well, we can speculate about that. Mm-hmm. Probably the religion would have been very strong in Africa, but probably it wouldn't have traveled across the Atlantic, and it wouldn't have traveled to other parts of the world. There is no country of the modern world. There are 193 countries. There is no country of the modern world where you wouldn't have some people practicing Yoruba religion today. Part of it is due to colonialism and slavery, which is not a good thing, but also brought about that kind of outcome that is not bad.
¿Y se pudo haber evitado la conquista?
I think it was a mistake. What did the white people gain from conquering North and South America? What did they gain for themselves and for their culture by eliminating the indigenous people of North and South America? What did they gain by enslaving African peoples, using them as animals for years? Nothing. Nothing. Now their own countries are falling apart. Europe is falling apart. I'm sure wise people in Europe or wherever they may be, people know the history of what happened as a result of all these conquests, are regretting that probably the world would have been a better place if they didn't do that.
Y fue avisada la gente Yoruba que venía una conquista. Fue avisado que iban a ser llevados a otro continente.
About this. Oh yeah, in Ifa there are verses of Ifa that talk about all these things that happened to African peoples. The point is this. There is nothing in this world that lasts forever. Everything is subject to change. Unfortunately, some of these changes are violent, which is what we are talking about. But in the end, there is hope through Ifa.
Algunas personas, profesor, tratan de establecer diferencias entre el tradicionalismo y el culto afrocubano. ¿Qué piensa usted al respecto?
Well, we don't have two ways. It's the same way, only with slight, even Yoruba land itself. The way we worship Ifa, or the way we worship some Orishas in Yoruba land, differs from one country to another, from one state to another. There are slight differences. The Afro-Cubans are trying to practice what was bequeathed to them by their ancestors. On the slave plantation, there is no community that can say, we are totally Yoruba. Maybe the father is Yoruba, the mother may be from the Congo. The grandfather probably is from Benin Republic. So it's all this admixture of peoples of Africa that is now manifesting itself today as Lukumi or Afro-Cuban religion. And then to add to that are the European peoples who also live with them in Cuba. So the true admixture of peoples that happened at that time included white people, black people from different nations of Africa. How can you now ask them, you should be pure Yoruba? Mm-hmm. Forget about the ways of the Congolese people. Forget about the ways of the Akan people. Forget about the ways of the Fon people or the Efik. So Afro-Cuban is a celebration of what was bequeathed to the Cuban peoples by their ancestors from different parts of Africa. And we celebrate that. Yeah.
Profesor, usted escribió Ifa reparará nuestro mundo roto. ¿Por qué lo escribió?
I wrote that little book as an introduction to our religion. So that people, I know people are asking, looking for questions and answers about this religion. So that's as a quick thing that somebody who is coming to Yoruba religion can have and hold to inform himself about the religion. That's why I wrote that book, If I Will Mend Our Broken World. Our world is broken.
Is it?
If I can fix it, and if I will fix it.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope. Profesor, ¿cómo fue la inscripción, el proceso de inscripción del sistema o el sistema oracular de Ifa ante la UNESCO? ¿Cómo fue ese proceso? ¿Fue difícil?
It was difficult, but fortunately, at that time, I was working for the Nigerian president as one of his advisors. And then, before I knew that such a thing was coming up, it was towards the tail end of the 5 years that UNESCO has set aside for any nation who wanted any of their traditions to be proclaimed as an important tradition. It was almost coming to an end. But fortunately, we worked day and night. We were able to beat the deadline. And in the year 2005, UNESCO proclaimed Ifa as a masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity. I was the proud recipient of that proclamation in Paris in the year 2005.
¿Y qué hace, profesor? ¿Qué hace al oráculo de Ifa tan importante comparándolo con un oráculo como Delfos en Grecia o Urim Tumim del pueblo hebreo?
Yeah, you know, it's a good question. Even though Europe or Europeans or anybody who has gone to school now looks down on oral tradition, they should not forget that the ancient world, even of Europeans, also had the same kind of myths, the same kind of oral traditions that African peoples now, share with the rest of the world through Ifa or through the Orishas. Ifa is probably the most extensive literature ever known to humankind.
Profesor, ¿cómo fue su experiencia en Asís en el 2011 frente a todos los religiosos del mundo?
Yeah. Oh, it was a very wonderful experience, and that was the second time that Pope Benedict XVI invited me to the Vatican. The first time was 2006, shortly after he was made Pope. He invited 37 leaders and scholars of the world's religions to Lariano Velitri. And I was one of them. We spent 3 weeks with him. And then in the year 2011, he invited 300 leaders and scholars of the world's religions to go on a holy pilgrimage to Assisi. I went with my wife on that occasion, and I was privileged to be one of the few people who were invited to speak.
Usted habló y usted recitó un canto a Yemoyá, a Olokun. ¿Por qué Olokun, profesor? Why not Obatala? Why not Orunmila? Why Olokun?
Right. That verse of Ifa from Ijiogbe talks about the life of Ifa. And it says, life of Ifa is more tranquil than water. After Ifa had lived on earth for 600 years. He then married Olokun, who is the divinity of the ocean, any ocean, whether Atlantic or Pacific or whatever. The Orisha, who governs all the oceans, is called Olokun. And Ifa is now in the depths of the ocean, living with his last wife. I chanted that verse to demonstrate how peaceful our religion is. That Ifa is a religion of peace. It's a religion that anybody can practice. And when you practice it, you are going to have peace and tranquility in your life. Ó ní Adéyẹrí láwọ aláràn, Adétutù láwọ ajífọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo là, àdúrà fún Ọ̀rúnmìlà, Ifá ń lọ lè gbólómi tútù níyàwó, ayé Ifá àtútù, ọmọdé mi lọ. Ọláyé Ifá àtútù, ojo mi lọ, ayé Ifá àtútù, ọmọdé ebara àmì ẹ̀rìndì àlọ́. Ifá alógbólómi tútù níyàwó, ayé Ifá àtútù, ọmọdé mi lọ. My short lecture on that occasion was about world peace. So I chanted that verse to buttress the point that our religion is a religion of peace and tranquility.
Me dejó sin palabras. Me emocionó.
Sí.
Mucho. Profesor, ¿cuáles son los principales retos? Ya estamos terminando. ¿Cuáles son los principales retos que tiene la religión Yoruba dentro y fuera de Nigeria?
We are facing challenges from Muslims. We are facing challenges from Christians who claim, the Christians especially claim, that their holy book says that only their religion is the true religion. Any other religion is false. If you practice any other religion, you are going to hell. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Olodumare, who created heavens, created the earth, is not a wicked person. And is not interested in the suffering or annihilation of any group of people. So their religion is important in the history of humankind, but it's not the only religion. They have used the power of the Western world in terms of technology, in terms of money. Most of the money which they actually originally took from the indigenous people of the world when they colonized them, they've used that to make their own religion look wonderful. Probably, I think Christianity is a wonderful religion. Islam is also a wonderful religion. But there should be no place for the oppression and conquest of other peoples.
Profesor, si usted tuviera la posibilidad de conversar con Olodumare, si usted tuviera la oportunidad de conversar con Olodumare, ¿qué le diría, profesor?
Well, I will ask Olodumare for peace on earth, for understanding among the peoples of the earth, so that we will stop all the ravages of that we are all experiencing in the modern world, all the hate that is going on in the world. That was the conclusion of our lecture of today. Ifa does not teach us to hate anybody or to despise anybody or to say that some people are chosen, some are not chosen. All those, that kind of talk is the wishful thinking of ignorant people. We are all children of Olodumare. We are all children of God. And He loves all of us. What Olodumare is looking for is your good character. What is your relationship with your fellow men and women? Not because I'm white and you are black, therefore you are nothing. Oh, somebody is gay, is not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, we won't minister unto him. We don't care about him if he lives or dies. All those are all the oppression of women and children. All that must stop. There's no place for it in the 21st century. We should find another way to live together in peace. And that, incidentally, that was the message of Pope Benedict XVI during the pilgrimage we made with him to Assisi. He said, peoples of the world should find a way to live together in peace and harmony. And that is what I also believe.
Ok. Profesor, cuando haya concluido su misión en esta tierra, ¿cómo quiere ser recordado Wande Abimbola?
When my time is up, I like to be remembered as a Babalawo. And someone who tried to spread the word of Ifa to all the peoples of the world, so that there will be greater peace, greater harmony in the world.
Fíjese, profesor, usted estudió historia y usted se ha convertido en parte de la historia del mundo Yoruba.
Thank you very much.
Profesor, ¿con qué mensaje se quiere despedir de la comunidad Ifa Orisa, no solo de México, de Latinoamérica, sino de todos los confines del planeta que lo siguen, que siguen sus enseñanzas, que siguen sus luces, que lo siguen a usted? ¿Con qué se quiere despedir?
Just one little thing. The most important, what Olodumare, the Orishas, what they are asking from all of us is good character. Let's all try our little bit to uplift our fellow men and women. Let us make the world a better place than we found it.
Muchísimas gracias, profesor. A nombre de la comunidad Yoruba, a nombre de Soy Yoruba, le agradezco muchísimo su tiempo, les agradezco su tiempo, profesora de Bayo, señora mía, y desearles que su estancia en México sea muy placentera y que Olodumare les dé larga vida a los tres.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And may Ifa bless you and give you peace and tranquility.
Ashe.